We are going to, let me move this more into the center of the page, and then I've got the center. Can we move this over even further? Yes, ta-da! Center of the page. I wonder, should I turn on the lights in the background? That might be helpful as well. Welcome to the studio on a very, very rainy day, and it's incredibly windy. And on a Friday, because I'm not in my school, I have the day to be able to do art. I was planning on, I love going out and recording a video, just drawing and painting outside. But alas, the wind is crazy, the drone couldn't fly in it, and the weather's pants. So here we are. Anyway, what we're going to do this morning is, good morning to the two of you who are online. Let's have a look and see if I can get, see if I can actually find myself on YouTube so that I can be able to see comments and things like that. It's not coming up. Why was that not the case? Let's try one more time here. So what we're going to be doing this morning is we're going to be trying out, ta-da, that's it up now, brilliant. Okay, what we're going to be doing this morning then is trying out this technique again. So what we've got is, we've got our tools, got the Nutella jar, which is my personal favorite now for using water. I've got until about, say, 5 to or 10 to 10. So we've got the 2-inch Hake brush. Is it Hake? Is it Hake? I don't know. Anyway, we've got this brush. Got this little tool that my son 3D printed for me. How cool is that? So glad that he bought himself a 3D printer. We've got our little palette knife this time. It's probably part of me trying to be a little bit cheaper and not use quite as much equipment. We've got this little brush here. And we've got the two Daniel Smith watercolors. So we've got Undersea Green and the Geothite Brown. Now they're the only two that I own. So that's what we're going for. Now I was going to use a reference. In fact, what I was going to use was this as a reference, which I've used before. Or I was also considering this. This is my little stash of the reference images that I have. But what I've decided to do is not to do that, is to completely abandon ship on that and just freestyle. And go from what I know and see where this goes. So I'm just loading up the palette knife with some good old Daniel Smith. And I'm actually planning to go to Art and Home today in Hollywood to buy myself some more watercolor, or another watercolor tube. We'll just go for another one because it's expensive, but I think let's do one at the front here. And let's do another one at the back. Okay. So what I want to do is, that's it. That's what I want to do. Now, I've got another mark here, so let's get all that off. And we'll squish it down as much as we possibly can to get off all the remains. It's a sad sole reason why I'm squishing it down there, is to get it all off. So just pressing it down there. This is, today I'm using Seaway of Brighton. Let me see if I actually have a pack. I did an order recently from them. So typically I'll do an order worth a couple of £100 or so, and then that'll do me for a good number of weeks, or not week, good, a year and a bit at least. So this is their recycled watercolor paper. It's the block reclaimed cotton. Actually, it's really lovely stuff. 20 by 20, 12 sheets, and it's not very expensive. Head to their website, www.seawhite.co.uk, stick in WW10 and you'll get 10% off. That is the plug done. Okay, so basically then what I'm going to do, this is the technique of Joanna Gray. You can check her out on Instagram as Joanna Gray 75 or on YouTube as Joanna Gray Art. And best to put the @ in, and then you'll find her nice and easily. So what we're going to do is just grab okay, and what I'm going to do as well is just drop in some more of that. Okay, and once we've got So so it really is this lovely abstracting technique, which is just wonderful. So that's all I really want to do with this large brush. And we're going to squeeze that off. Now, in some of these areas, there's going to be too much water, so the trusty sponge, which I'm really glad I ordered these actually, because the wee sponge. Good morning from, what's this, Northern Rivers, New South Wales. Good to have you. I take it is, oh goodness, it's late in the evening there, isn't it? It's 9 AM here, so I can just kind of suck this up. And the reason why, I've been sort of, you evaluate why you do all these things and why do you do these videos. I think it's because I just want to encourage all of us who have any inkling to do creative stuff to do it and to feel permission to do it. And this is, so Joanna Gray, what a lovely lady, you know, so free with her style. So I'm taking this as a baker's brush. This is 50, I think it must be 50 centimeters. We're just gonna draw that up and draw it up in that area too, and really agitate it up there. Continue to do that here. I'm going to just do a little bit along there as well, just to get that moving. Okay, now, so that's all I need for that brush. This is also a really, really nice size to work on, because you can't, now let me see, the other thing we could do here is we could do with a little bit, do you know what else? Let me get my, one of the oil brushes here. So here's something that's helpful with the oil brush. I use the Artisan, the Winsor Newton Artisan water mixable oil, and no matter what, it still gets bunged up, so the brushes still get kind of stiff and all that kind of stuff. So what I tend to do then is, I find this, that when I use the palette knife, the little mini one, it releases the fibres again, which is really good. Hello Mary O'Brien, Melbourne in Australia. Thank you so much. Can't believe we're having, there's a lot of Australians, and New South Wales. It's not New Zealand, it's Australia as well. Sorry, I should know more about this. So anyway, I can, sadly, because it's quite stiff, I can then take this and do the same. Could actually lift some of this and just let it do its thing. Now that brush seriously needs some love and attention. Do share what you're up to, whatever time of day it is in the part of the world that you live in. It'd be lovely to hear. What I can also do is, let's get this this one. This is my Southern Green, and it is, I was only a couple of pounds. It's a great brush. Let's hoover up some of the, this is what I use for the dab and grab, but what I'd be able to do then is just bring in a little bit of a splat to that, which is what I want to do. So let's just lift here. So thank you Glenn, and thank you Mary for commenting. Do please, I'm forever asking in lives because I really enjoy the interaction, do please ask any questions that you have. I am happy to help, that's why I'm doing these videos. So do ask, and don't be afraid, there's no such thing as a stupid question. And also let me know what you're up to as well. You can also, there's a huge catalogue of, not huge, I'm not, if you look at Toby's sketch list, there's many more from him. Okay, the next thing we can do is, so I'm going to take my son's little, the little tool here, and Just scrape in some trees here with some of the detail, okay? And interestingly, you can see that, and actually in some areas here, it has already started to dry. Now I've kept it nice and warm. So what I'm going to do here is just bring some of this down into some of the other areas as well. I'm actually going to let that one, so I'm going to push this around a little bit, bring some of that ochre across. That's another lovely thing about this, that you can actually transfer some of the different just moving this up. I find this such a relaxing thing, and actually because it's not from a reference, I mean, we don't know where it goes, or we don't know what it's going to be like. So a couple of comments here. Joe Taylor, woohoo, watching from the bottom of Africa. Well, hey, I've been to Cameroon and Ghana, never to the south. Feeling demoralised. I totally feel today in my studio, cheering up already. Don't do that, Joe. What you have to do is you have to assess and go, okay, what went right and what went wrong. And if in one painting there is something that went really right, you want to notice that and you want to celebrate that, and not let this overarching, shame-filled, condemnatory slime all over you. Be encouraged. Okay, Mahonia, hello from the Ukraine. Hello. I found your channel recently, love your content, especially how you paint with Derma Inktense. Well, thank you very much. That is very kind. Now, I'm not sure about those lines there, so we'll see. Can we get them moving a little bit more? Now, the other thing is, I want to, now that this is far too thick for what I'm about to attempt here, but so really this has just now become about trying to, flick some of this in here, see what that does. Trying to use some of these colours that are really quite still loose and present here. I'm going to just try and move these around here. Try and soften off some of those harsher marks that I made. Can you tell this is all still learning for me? And all that's simply doing is darkening what's already present, but sure, that's all right. I'll not be overly concerned. Just drawing as many of these lines as I can down here. And I have to say the person who doesn't want to waste, you know, because especially the Inktense is so super duper, not Inktense, the Daniel Smith is so super duper expensive, well, certainly for me. Confident it probably is for you too, but that's a total assumption. Do you know what I will do actually? In this area over here, I'm thinking in my head that this is just thinking as I go here. This area here has got more of the, you know, sort of thinking like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. You know what, when you see it sometimes, don't you? Just lifting different bits across. Because it's pigment, it's hopefully going to do its thing. Hello, Chris, from the UK. Less glamorous, I have to say, than New South Wales or the Ukraine. It's funny, isn't it? Whenever you know, well, I'm always thinking, wouldn't it be nice to visit all these places? So just really trying to lift some from here and different areas. Now, what I think I will do as well is let's get in some of the, you know it's coming, you know they're coming, ta-da! Some of the Derwent Inktense. Now, for those of you who struggle with sharpenings being wasted, please look away. My trusty Faber-Castell sharpener. No, I love the Inktense. I know you do too, Mahona. The other thing about this is because now that paper's slightly wet, so let's actually. Now I don't like it. Wouldn't have been normal for me to use the Inktense so much in this way, but actually with this technique in particular, it feels very natural to do that. You know, so I am really. This is a process of trying to figure out how on earth does this work for me? How will this technique that Joanna Gray uses, so do please, if you haven't given her a follow on Insta, do. She's Joanna Gray, Gray 75. She's on Instagram, but also she is at Joanna Gray Art on sorry, I'm getting lost and just focusing on how to do this. On YouTube. So do give her a follow because I think she's great. So open with her style. So what I'm trying to do is to figure out, right, how on earth, let me see if this is, no, it's too, can I get away with this? Will this work? Ooh, it might really. It actually might work. Let's give this a wee sharpen. How does this work in my practice? How can I integrate this in a way that is going to be really helpful for me and it's going to work with the way that I use things? Because I'm not trying to steal somebody else's style. I'm trying to learn from them. Look at that nice sharp point. Oh my goodness, it's so enjoyable. I'm just trying to make random from what I know here of tree shapes. And then this dancing around idea that I do with the pencil, which just is so enjoyable for me. And then the other thing that happens here in this is, well, that's what this is going to do, is bring in and integrate the sharper marks that I had made that I really wasn't very happy about in the scene. It's just going to continue to move this around here. Now her work, I find that Joanna's work is so, like, it's just so lovely the way she does what she does. I need to keep going here to integrate this all and well together to make sure that what I've done doesn't get lost. So what do you think? Give me your feedback. Is this something that you would love to try yourself? Okay, so the other thing I'm going to do now then is I want to take some more of the, like, my son's, good morning David, my son 3D printed this for me too. I've been in love that he has a 3D printer. Just gonna squeeze off a little bit more of the Daniel Smith into this bit of the tray. Chris Ramswamp, what's your other video night? Great piece of art, thank you. I was really, so total transparency, well hopefully you would know that about me. I was really sweating at doing it because I thought, this is not my style, this is not my comfort zone, and I have no idea how this is going to go. So that was really very interesting to me, but lots of great feedback from that as well, which was really nice. So these little bits of the brown ochre. It's also, I think as well, I make everything my comfort zone. That's really kind, but I don't believe it's true, but thank you. Thank you, it's very kind. I think, you know, part of this is, I was thinking, could I try and find some colours? So the reason why I'm going to Art and Home today is to look and see, is there another colour that would granulate really nicely that I could just enjoy playing with and would work well and quite harmoniously. Now these, I think as well, you know, yes, there's lots of colour theory, which is absolutely correct, but the other thing that you can do is to look in creation. And when you look in creation, you see what colours work really, really well together. And that's been a really, look at that, I love that. When you lift away, the pigment has settled enough that actually it started to stain the paper, which is rather lovely. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually scrape out, sorry, I was off camera, I'm going to scrape out a little bit of this. Let's see what this does. We're way off piece now, eh? Now, I wonder if Mary says, oh, other comment, Joe Taylor. I also watch mixed media art by Trinia on YouTube and learned so many mark making ideas, lovely. And Mary O'Brien, it is 8:30 p.m. in Melbourne, 30 degrees. It is 9:33 in Northern Ireland, and it's flipping freezing and it's raining and windy. Australia sounds so much nicer. Anybody else with me? I mean, doesn't it? It just sounds so much nicer. Just trying to agitate and see what, I mean, I think, so I was about to say the overworking thing, but actually, you know, I've taught this before, overworking is where you don't let it dry. Mary, 3:30 in Missouri. Oh, David, I didn't know you were in Missouri. 3:30 a.m. Flip me, David. You're up early. Maybe you're not sleeping well and you're therefore grateful for the distraction. Or could be up for work. That's the other possibility. So we're just going to add in a little bit of Firewatch. Ah, Fireman Dave. Hope you don't mind me calling you Dave. So just going to add in little, so I'm just using the Daniel Smith straight here, just to add in some little areas of detail. This is the long, what is it? It's called a liner. Never used it in my life before. We sort of thought, what's the point in this thing? But Joanna uses it, so I thought, well, it's good enough for Joanna, it's good enough for me. I was about to say normal service will resume, but I think, you know, one of the things with painting is You want to be continually taking on influence, growing, developing, pushing out of that comfort zone, trying new things. When you feel like you're getting a little bit bored, try something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry for a little minute. So this is a great point for questions, comments. I'm just going to footer. Yes. Oh, David. If you called me Steve, that would be bad. Okay, Steve. Do you think you could use this technique for urban art? Well, the next stage for me was just actually thinking this, and I might attempt this on a YouTube that isn't live, is drawing out a scene and then seeing where it goes in terms of adding in some, this technique to it. So I really do want to try that out, but I want to do that on rather than a live, I want to do that on a video so that I can really talk about it in a considered way, I never thought I would use this little tool as much as I have. Now, I actually think we've arrived at the end of this one because I'm just really pleased the way, let me pull it up a little bit closer, hopefully you can see that quite well. Just given this idea of the trees kind of sloping in further off in the distance, this could be water. Now, what I could do if I was doing this in watercolor, and let me show you, let me cover God, I'm bound of a scrap of paper somewhere. Yeah, there we go. It's a cheap, thin and nasty bit of paper, but it'll do the job. So if I was going to add in water, what I could do, and this is really rather random that I'm doing this on this after having done and taking such a vibrant colour as well, is to be able to take the flat edge brush and just moving it across and kind of rocking it as you go, and as you do that, and leaving some gaps, and then it just gives this idea that it is it's water and a few specks and things, but it just works really well. So it's taking the brush and just using the strength of the flat edge, so this kind of constant tilting of it just gives, and then obviously it seems to be as well when you kind of work in a triangle, so you move from down to this point here and then just using the edge, and I'll just give you the idea of water. So there you are. But I could have done that and moved that then into this area here, but I think I'm pretty pleased with that. The only bit that has annoyed me ever so slightly is the area of the trees where I drew in. Would I draw in again like that? I don't know, but how it has granulated on the page and just really settled is really lovely. And I think as well, it's getting too warm in here. I think as well, when you're drawing, when you're painting like this, I really rarely ever paint like this. I normally paint from a reference image, and in painting from a reference image, then you have a structure to it. So this technique lets me paint from references that are within me, if that makes sense. So you're drawing still from a reference. The point of reference is a memory and places that you visited and knowing how trees look. And today I can think feels like quite a misty day, and I mean that's Northern Ireland, misty and muggy. This is probably for me down in the Lakelands in like Enniskillen direction, and I am still therefore painting from a reference. It's just not a visible one. It's one that's remembered from within me. Getting all philosophical, but everything, I think all art's an abstraction, whether it is trying to be photorealistic or hyper-realistic or whatever phrase you want to use. Hello from Belgium, good morning Aussie, and hello Frederick from Belgium, thanks very much. This is not my normal style, but anyway, here we are. So I find that Joanna's technique for me lets me find colors that I really like, and also to do it from memory, which is really lovely. There is one thing that I wanted to try. Shall we do another? Now I've got probably 15 minutes, okay? So shall I try another? Let's see. Okay, so I've got a little postcard pad. This is another one. Another Sea White of Brighton. Colin is not sponsored by Sea White of Brighton, but absolutely loves them. So let's move this over. So what I want to try to do with this is, so this is something that Toby and I did the last time when we had a group away. That was really nice. It's 350 gram thickness as well, which is rather nice. Which is, let me see if I can get, trying to remember which one is which, tan or amber. Let's go for amber. Okay, so we have got the Derwent Inktense. We have got, for those of you that are interested, we've got light olive, which is 1540. We've got amber, which is 1710. And what we're going to do is, we're going to do this from, use this as a reference, okay? So I am looking to find, okay, so where are these similar tones, okay? Oh, Bonnie's giving off. Now, Bonnie, don't be giving off. We've got people from around the world on. Show your good side. Och, Bonnie, now. Chris, do you buy direct from Sea White or a different shop? I buy direct from Sea White because it is so much more reasonable. You have to pay, obviously, shipping. So if I was to buy a pack of 15, you know, the A4 pack of 15, 350, it would cost me about £11 in Hobbycraft. Whereas if I buy it from Bonnie, if I buy it from direct from Sea White, then it is much cheaper, like £4 or £5. Now I think there's VAT on that. Now for shipping is £20, so I make it really worthwhile, which is why I'm saying that I, you know, every couple of years make a good order, so it makes it really worthwhile. Okay, so the beloved Inktense are now out. So this is interesting. I'm using the, Bonnie, you gonna lie down now? Good girl. Good girl, Bonnie. So I'm using what has been done from memory as the reference. So we'll see where this goes. Love using that kind of style of continuous line. Something's annoying Bonnie anyway. Any of you got your dogs beside you while you... I don't think I would have another dog, but I so love that we have Bonnie. They are so lovely, but you are kind of restricted by them too, aren't you? Okay, so what we're going to do, so that's the Inktense bit done. And what we're going to do next then is do a little bit of the palette knife. Okay, I've got about 10 minutes. Can I do it? I have an appointment at 10 on Zoom. So I won't need very much for this. So this is, you know, this is me attempting to bring this into the style that I have, you know, the style that I would use and things I like to do. So you've seen it live here, folks. Okay, so that was, didn't expect that to happen. But that's all right. Okay. Get it all off. Because you don't want to waste a single bit. And then use the beloved sponge, which works a treat. Then what I'll do this time is, because it's a much smaller space, I'm going to use a watercolor brush. This is the 25mm. Now let's see how this works together. Okay, so that seems to be the magic bit in this process, is when you so we're going to use the sponge to just draw away a little bit of that because it's just a little bit nuts. Is when you know, you pull another line across, so that's, move some of this here and see. I think the two are actually incomparable, really, in many ways. You know, it's, and let's get these to move around a wee bit together. I think actually the Inktense line doesn't really work with this concept because it's too kind of chunky, but this is the kind of stuff that you want to do. Now for like Joe was saying, you know whenever you're doing some work and it doesn't really work out the way you expected, I just think it's really beneficial. I spent a lot of my art practice being so terrified that I would fail, and it's completely unhelpful, because to make anything work you have to be able to just experiment and feel free to get it wrong, you know. And I think that's, I'm just sort of scribbling in here, see what it does, because this is like a bit of a sketchbook piece, this one, because I have no idea how it's going to turn out. So I'm trying to use sort of similar lines, and why I'm doing that is because I find that those marks from the Inktense are just too much. So I'm trying to, I was going to say rescue, I don't know, it is rescue, I think it's more just trying to figure out, okay, so what do I do with this? I don't think the Inktense pencils really added an awful lot there. I think they probably more detracted from the thing. So let's take more of that and pull it into this area here and see what happens. Yeah, that's it, Mary. That's how we learn. But it is, you know, I think that when everybody puts their best foot forward, everybody else feels totally and utterly ashamed about the foot that's not so good. So I'm more than happy to put the weak foot forwards, if it means that somebody goes, I can actually do this. Okay, so right, let's have a look at these two together. I'm gonna have to go in about 5 minutes. So I'm looking at the two together. Actually, you know, it's an interesting exercise, isn't it, to do something from, so there's no reference for this apart from what I remember, what I have from memory and my own life experience, and then this is drawn from that with an attempt to pull in the Inktense. And I don't think that the Inktense works, other than, I mean, there's some of these lines here. Now, if I was to go in at this point with the Inktense, is that going to add? Oh, actually, maybe it does. Very interesting, he says. Aussie, good day, fellow Aussies. Goodness, I feel like I'm running a convention here. No, that's too much, you see. Not interesting. So just having to be careful with, just trying to agitate that in, but it's not going to let me because it's too much. So let's mask it over. So this is another, could be an interesting way to use this brush. Yeah, there we go, that's nice. Just what that's creating in and of itself. Let me lift again. Okay, let's stop there with that. Okay, so David said, Colin, use a lot of mediums. What's your personal favorite? If you could only choose one, watercolor. It would be watercolor. I was looking at some sort of the more successful watercolor, or not watercolor, Instagram art pages, and probably they do stick to one style, or not one style. They stick to, because I think style comes from the individuals, like handwriting, but they stick to maybe one medium. And I have a friend who's an artist, who's a sculptor, he oil paint, whatever. He does a whole heap of different things, which is exactly the same as me, and I really enjoy that. And I think it's this, the pressure to conform to, well, if you want to have a successful this, and you've got to do it this way, rather than just be yourself. So if I had to choose one, it would be watercolor, because I just think it's wonderful. And I would probably have it in tube form and also in palette form, so that I could pour it and let it harden and cure, and then be able to use it the way I normally use it. But I would also now, after seeing Joanna's technique, have it as this as well, have it in tube form as well, because it's pretty cool. Ozzy, hope you try an Australian bush scene. A blue-green colour for the gums would be great. Now, what's a gum for the gums? What does gums mean? Do you let me know? Will I try an Australian bush scene? I don't know. Send me one. Send me one and I'll have a look. Now, would I try it in this style? I don't know. Oh, one last thing. Get the signature on. I love this pencil. This is a Koh-i-Noor, and it's flat, which is pretty cool. Carpenter pencil. Okay. And that is it for me today. Thank you to everybody who came online to watch. Let me give you another quick squizzy. Eucalyptus gum trees. Never heard of them now. That's the first one. And here is the second one. It's actually quite nice. Quite pleased with that. Quite pleased with some of the marks and things on it. So thank you everybody for watching. Have a good Friday. For some of you, it's towards the end of it. For some of the rest of you, like David, it's just the very beginning of it. So thank you, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Head to my website, www.woodwardswatercolors.co.uk. You can find lots of information about all the things I do. And apart from that, thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.